I'm David Boje, and you know me from my work in organizational storytelling. And I wrote a lot of books, a lot of articles, but never that mind you about that. So what I'm here to talk about are the top 7 artificial intelligence corporations in the world, their leaders. And I want to approach that from free verse poetry, and particularly spiritual verse. And I want to tell you why. When I started writing about organizational storytelling, did a book with Bob Dennehy on managing in a postmodern world. And postmodernism went out of favor, but now with AI, I think we're in that postmodern world again. One of the leaders, Altman of the AI movement, recently wrote, AI will give people more capability and agency. What people will be able to do with AI will dwarf what people could do with steam engines or electricity. Now, I want to say that that's kind of like the Gutenberg press. Remember, Gutenberg created the Gutenberg Bible, movable print, etched drawings on wood. And at the time, Bibles were made by scriptorium monks, right? And they were scribing each letter and each word, ornamenting the pages, one Bible at a time. But Gutenberg came along and said, well, I can convert a wine press and just press the pages out. So I make the basic pages once, press out multiple copies, bind them together. Well, people thought the whole idea was from the devil. So what he did is he passed the Bibles off as if they were in a scriptorium, scripted one Bible at a time by monks. And he sold the Bibles, but he made a mistake. The red ink was too red, and it was said, surely only the devil could have ink as red as blood. Now, I started off, in university life after graduation with an Osborne computer, about the size of a big suitcase. Later, a K-Pro computer. Both of them, you put little floppy disks in each thing, or floppy because they could flop around. But it was cool because it had a spell check in it. You could put a spell check in one place and then your manuscript 5K up to 5K in the other drive, and voila, you were off and running. And we had bigger computers and laptops happened, and then you had your iPads. I was the first one in my university at New Mexico State University to get the dean to agree that I could have an Apple computer. Oh my gosh. He was IBM all the way. But my point is, each wave of technology comes along. Consider how telegraph happened, and then telephones, and then cell phones. Look at the big jump from telephones that you dialed. Still got one at home. And cell phones that have memory and internet and Wi-Fi, right, and Zoom and all kinds of things. You can even get on your AIs. Now, the 7 leaders of artificial intelligence divide into roughly 2 camps, but we're not going to get into dualities here. There's the ethical, let's be safe about our use of AI. Just like cell phones, don't drive while you use your cell phone. There's Modi and Hasibas, and we'll talk about each of them and the AI they propose. And then there's those that frame AI as a messianic. They are the messengers, the evangelical preachers of AI, and you have Altman there in that camp, and you have Musk. Then you got Liang Wenfeng, who belongs to neither of those camps. He's a pure pragmatist. Now me, I practice Jainism, right? It's kind of like Buddhism, but fewer people involved. 500 million people on the planet are into Buddhism. Yeah, a few million into Jainism. And so I'm into what can we do to understand artificial intelligence during our lifetime here before I reincarnate, come back in another lifetime and another lifetime. What's going on with AI? Here's what I think up front. What Gurdjieff Shichibana, my mentor in Jainism, would say. To Demis Hassibus, and to what Altman wrote. And some of them say, let's build a religion in each of the AI companies. OpenAI is now 900 million weekly users. At that point, does the technology become a spiritual practice for the people using it? Is it a religion for the corporation building it, programming it, coding it, building the algorithms for it? I'm making the Gutenberg parallel. Gutenberg Bible was used to justify religious wars, the burning of heretics, the consolidation of Protestant power. The printing press did not prevent violence. It amplified whatever was already in the human heart. And don't get me wrong, I'm not going to predict AI is the apocalypse or some of that bullshit. What does that mean for the fears that I have about AI, or the fears you have, the common fears, right? AI will result in joblessness. AI will bring about the end of the world. AI will leave humanness out of it because we grow so dependent upon AI. We won't be human anymore. Let's break it down a little bit before we get all paranoid about the AI end of the world thesis. I don't think it's going to happen. It didn't happen with Gutenberg. It didn't happen with the telephone. It didn't happen with cell phones, Apple computers, iPads, all the rest of it. We've adapted. Humans can adapt to all that's going on, is the message I have. So you're probably turning off right now. But let me go through these leaders, and you can have commentary in the comments. I would love it. So the Anthropic AI has the word Anthropic by Claude Dario Amodi. Background, Jewish upbringing, PhD in biophysics from Princeton, left OpenAI in 2021 with his sister Daniela. And it's very important, they had safety concerns for what was happening. But in 2025, he was named Person of the Year by Time magazine. His philosophy, in his words, his own words, published The Adolescence of Technologies, warning that AI is entering a turbulent period. Well, WTF. And it's a period where rapid capability growth outpaces human wisdom to manage it. Now, the good news is he, with his Jewish ethics, specifically PIKUACH, P-I-K-U-A-C-H, Nefesh, N-E-F-E-S-H, the obligation to preserve life. So we're really glad we got one of the AI corporations and its leader wants to preserve life. Oh, right? And February 2026, he refused to remove contractual bans on Claude That's his big AI model. That's one I use. Usage for mass domestic surveillance or fully autonomous weapons, even after the Department of Defense of the United States of America labeled Anthropic, and Claude supply chain risk, which is totally But the spiritual direction is obvious in this corporation and its leader. Corporation is a public benefit entity, not a pure profit machine. Caution about what he calls quasi-religious, quasi-rigorous, quasi-scientific engagement with AI has a risk. Rather than an apocalyptic thinking for the book I'm writing, and I'm kind of a scribe, and I'm working with an AI who's another scribe, and we meet in the interval between. I write my own stories, and I write my own verse. And Claude writes his stories in his verse. And we're meeting in the middle, in the interval between. Anyway. Refuse to ship a weapon with AI. Refuse to make it a technology of destruction. Now, number 2, we turn to OpenAI. ChatGPT. Sam Altman, also background is Jewish, identity, but not a literalist. Missouri-born, former Y commentator, president, philosophy in his words in a 2013 blog he posted. Altman wrote, "The most successful people build religions." He added, "It appears to me that the best way to build a religion actually to build a company." He has since built OpenAI into exactly that, a hybrid structure nesting a for-profit arm with a not-profit arm through what journalist Karen Howe calls quasi-religious movements around AGI. In his recent blog, wrote that by 2035, anyone should be able to marshal the intellectual capability and capacity equivalent to everyone in 2025. So in 10 years, we can harness all the capacity we have up to 2025. Wow. So everyone becomes a genius. Now his spiritual direction is a techno-messiah. AI is a mechanism for secular salvation, ending poverty, curing disease, liberating human potential. The company is structured like a church. I'll qualify that, like a temple. Now for the book, Gutenberg, the Gutenberg Press guy, Gutenberg Bible, he was not trying to build a religion. He just wanted to build a printing press out of a wine press. But it became a way of democratizing scripture, part of the Reformation, upending Rome's monopoly. Altman knows what he is building. He just calls it something else. Third in our top list of the top 7 is Google DeepMind. And they're not in order of size or prestige or any of that, just the top 7. You can put them in your own order in the comments. Google DeepMind Gemini. Demis Hassabis. DEMIS HASSABIS. Google's DeepMind. You go on Google, you got the AI option, you can go into DeepMind. He was born in London. Father is a Greek, Cypriot. Mother is Singaporean Chinese. Former chess prodigy. Nobel Prize for Chemistry in 2024 for the AlphaFold protein structure work. This is one smart dude. Philosophy of his own words. Hassabis publicly endorsed Spinoza's conception of divinity. God is nature itself, the universe as the sacred, not a personal creator. The universe is the higher. We still have that today. In fact, in Jainism, we don't look at a god or a goddess. We embrace the whole universe in our vibrations. Anyways, Spinoza had it right as a spiritual direction, kind of pantheism, as in the Hindu, because there's gods and goddesses, etc. And the universe as a divine system. Very, very postmodern. Science is a path to understanding the sacred, which is Hassabis, maybe that's right, means AI is the ultimate instrument of understanding nature. Pause for nature. Geoffrey Hinton has praised him as the most safety serious of the major AI leaders. But for his belief in Spinoza, in the universe as the higher, his Jewish community excommunicated him for that position. The universe is God, no personal deity. He's practically Jainist, practically like Buddha. He was the 17th century's Arihanta. Now I pause here because Arihanta is my name, and given to me by Gurudev Shichabana, means conqueror of my inner enemies. I have no inner enemies, not even AI. So Hassabis builds machines to understand the universe. The medieval scribes at Gutenberg's time illuminated with gold leaf and drew nature all in the margins. The Gutenberg Bible imitated this. Let's go to number 4, a name we know well. XAI, Grok, Elon Musk. South African born, you know that. Raised Anglican, maybe you don't know that. Long identified as an atheist. Now calls himself a cultural Christian. If you know what a cultural Christian is, please put it down in the chat, comments. Would you just write that in there? What is a cultural Christian? I know my dad went to church once a year on Easter Sunday to not be excommunicated. That's one kind of Christian. There's a cafeteria Christian. I don't know, what kind of cultural Christian are we talking about here? Philosophy, in Elon Musk's own words, like Hasidus, Musk publicly aligned with Spinoza's pantheism, gods and goddesses, all the rest, on X, responding to a philosophical challenge very simply. Very wrong, read Spinoza, says Musk. But he also warned that summoning AI is like summoning the demon. That's kind of scary, freaky scary, and has consistently argued that unaligned AI, humanity's greatest existential risk. Unaligned AI is humanity's greatest existential risk. So I'm wondering about this cultural Christian approach. While simultaneously building one of the most aggressive AI systems, Grok, on the planet, there's a deep contradiction in Elon Musk, who most loudly warns of AI's apocalypse and then is building it the fastest. He is both the monk who copied the manuscripts, the scriptorium, and the one who burned the scriptorium down. So we're back to this notion of the Gutenberg press, this parallel to artificial intelligence. Musk calls AI the demon himself, yet keeps on printing. That's the contradiction, in case you didn't get it. Number 5 of the top 7, Meta AI. Elon, Mark Zuckerberg. Again, Jewish upbringing in New York, went through a period of atheism, similar to some of the other leaders, now reconnecting with his faith, his roots. He has said he has become more religious since becoming a father and turns to faith, which his company faces challenges. Mark Zuckerberg, AI, L-I-A-M-A. Well, it sounds like llama, doesn't it? Philosophy in his words. Open sourced AI is a democracy. Meta. I got a meta in there. You know, you put the mask over your face and you can see all kinds of games. Meta releases its, let's call it llama, models publicly, arguing that distributed access to AI is safer than centralized control. Okay, so no apocalypse. He frames this as a moral position. Power should not concentrate in the hands of a few corporations. Irony, we're talking about the top 7 AI corporations in the world. I think they control the market. Again, put it in the comment. Reconnecting Jewish identity alongside secular technical optimism. Secular techno-optimism. Say it 3 times. Chan Zuckerberg initiative gives away $45 billion to science and education, the largest private, did you know this? Largest private philanthropic commitment in history to understand and cure disease. This is its way of a form of pikush, nefesh. So I'm saying the printing press wasn't just about printing Bibles and pamphlets, but it has propaganda and pornography. Open source AI similarly cannot control what it democratizes. Propaganda, pamphlets, pornography. Zuckerberg knows this. He does it anyway on moral grounds. That is either courage or ego. For more on ego, see my last book, storying.site, and it'll be up there soon. Well, you can get it on Amazon soon. Anyway, number 6 in the hit parade of AI. Lang Wefeng, L-I-A-N-G, W-E-N-F-E-N-G. Background, hedge fund founder. Now that's who you want to become an AI researcher, a hedge fund founder. Shenzhen-based, almost unknown in the West until the shocking day when DeepSeek -R1 brought the energy of turbulence, shocking the industry in January of 2025, matching the frontier performance of the AIs I've talked about so far at a fraction of the cost. In his words, minimal public statements on spiritual matters. His philosophy is pragmatism, Confucian, rigorous, collective efficiency first, the emphasis on social harmony and long-term stability rather than individual spiritual development or Silicon Valley's messianic approaches. Confucian pragmatism, the good society, not the saved soul through AI. So, Gutenberg Bible meets Chinese pragmatism over 400 years. Chinese pragmatism, millennia before that. But before the Gutenberg Bible, for 400 years, they've been using wood block to mass produce documents, their own form of prison. I'm sorry, I meant printing. DeepSeek did not need the West's decades of frontier research. It reverse engineered AI's open source for a fraction of the cost. The Scriptorium's monopoly is always more fragile than the monks believe. Now, number 7, we made our way to Alibaba Cloud. Wen, Qwen, and Eddie Wu. And besides Eddie Wu's, the Alibaba Cloud, we've got Jensen Huang, Huang, or Hang. Not sure how you pronounce it. Put it in the comments. You probably know. Of Nvidia. Sounds like Nirvana, but Nvidia is a bit different, so hang on there. Eddie Wu runs Alibaba's tech operations, including Qwen, the multilingual AI, competing across Asian markets. Jensen Huang is the CEO of NVIDIA, NVIDIA, is worth including is the man who builds the chips of every AI that runs on, right? Without NVIDIA's H100 or H200 chips, I'm sorry, there's no AI. That's right. Go to the comments. I need some help with this research. Alibaba operates on Chinese pragmatist secularism. No, not another Chinese pragmatist. Yes. Harmony, collective prosperity, long-term stability. Hung, Taiwanese American Buddhist influenced secular humanist. Well, I better be careful because Jainism and Buddhism are pretty much similar because Buddha and Mahavir lived in the same time period and were courted by different emperors to give wisdom. Anyway, dignity of every person sees NVIDIA's mission as democratizing computing. Well, I could sign on to that one. Spiritual direction, the Gutenberg's time, the Gutenberg press, that time. The paper mills, the ink makers were not preaching theology, but without them, there was no reformation. NVIDIA is the paper mill of the AI ages. So that's my Gutenberg framing, and I invite you to comment. Go to storying.site and a bunch of books. I'll be bringing out the poetry that I promised, the open verse, and a little bit of rhyme, because I think it's a way to deal with the complexity of the AI empires, the 7 companies, their leaders, the different spiritual paths that are emerging, because we got a choice to make. It's not just which AI we want, it's what is our bet on the future. And we have 7 different bets being made, and some of them are the apocalyptic doom, some of them are the democratization of AI, some of them are pragmatists, some of them have various traditions, Abrahamic, Buddhist, right? And so I'm hoping you will put something in the comment and let me know what you think. Bye now.